Welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Sadia, and this is my mother, Ema. Hey, Ema.
Hi, how are you? I,
Oh,
f-
I'm,
I was tempted to say on the air, do we really have to do this?
it's late at night and it's on a Thursday, so I'm just very tired. That's the whole point. Like,
That's okay. I have my tonic and gin sitting in front of me, but I decided to add some vitamin water to it to make it a little healthier.
oh, vitamin water.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Vitamin
call it
water, tonic, and gin and lime.
wonderful. Vitamin water, they don't really um, have vitamins in it. They call it vitamin water, but it was a whole massive like lawsuit that happened.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because it was called vitamin water, but there wasn't any nutrition.
You're kidding, because it says on the nutritional breakdown it's supposed to be high in vitamin C and
Oh, maybe they might have
electrolytes.
changed some stuff up, but it used to be that there was no vitamins in it at all. They just called it vitamin water. I
Well,
don't know.
actually, the vitamin water that's called vitamin water that's generically, and not generic, but is the actual name of this vitamin water. It has like a breakdown on the side of the vitamins that it actually has. But I saw this generic vitamin water that was put out by one of the big companies there. Like a generic type knockoff, and somebody I know bought it thinking it was like really good vitamin water, and I looked on the side to see the nutritional value, and I pointed out to her, I go, look, and I put on the side every single thing next to it: proteins, vitamins, electrolytes, whatever, zero, 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 zero.
So apparently,
She didn't bother looking to see what the actual breakdown was.
the main issue is it's too sugary and it's too overloaded with vitamins. That's what it says. So I guess dilute the vitamin water if you really want to get the benefits of it. It's too sugary and stuff.
I find when I drink vitamin water, for some reason, I cannot drink the whole thing in one sitting. It's like I add it like I do, I add it to something, put ice on it, and I kind of drink the whole bottle over about a couple hours. Take a swig of it here and there.
Yeah, no, I don't get vitamin water. I usually get the naked. It's like
Yeah.
it has like all these like fruits and vegetables that they just blend together.
hmm
You know?
I had one. Yeah, I had that a couple times. Very good. They're very, very good. I've had them. Yeah. The caretaker that took care of your father recommended that I drink it. She drank it a lot, and she recommended that I buy it. So I did. I was very pleased. It was very good. But anyway, this week we're talking about lousy advice.
Horrible advice. Horrible advice.
Okay, here's what got me started. Last Shabbos, I was
It
by
grinds my gears.
I was by your sister's house, and she has this Jewish publication that's here in Florida, and there was an advice column. I don't know what the credentials were of the woman who's giving advice, but here's how the letter was. This young woman wrote in, said that a couple of years ago, this rabbi who she holds by, like her mashpia, her great advisor, introduced her to this young man, and he thought it would be a very, very good match for them. Well, they have been dating for 2 years.
Wow.
So she says in her letter, now I know 2 years, especially in the frum world, is a long time, but here's why. She said when she was introduced to this young man, she had come from a frum family. She had gone off the derech, and basically she was on her way back.
Mm-hmm.
And as the 2 years progressed, she's at the point where she does everything now. Shabbos kashrus, she's ready to take on Taras Mishpacha. She says there's only one area, though, where she feels that she cannot give up, and that is she feels comfortable wearing pants. And she does not feel comfortable wearing a skirt. She feels more comfortable in pants, and that's something that she feels she can't give up. Well, she says every time she brings up to this young man, hey, it's been 2 years. What about the next step? What about your marriage? He comes up with excuses. And not only does he come up with excuses, she says he's extremely critical of her. And he also is very cheap. And as a matter of fact, one of the things that he criticized about her was that he complained that she forces him to take her to these expensive restaurants. And she says they don't go to expensive restaurants. They go to these little, kosher fast food place, falafel, whatever, nothing really that expensive. So the answer that the stupid lady gave her was, first of all, kudos to the rabbi who put you two together and is working so hard to keep you together. And she felt that the young man really does want to marry her deep down inside.
Well,
and really does.
I have to cut you off. I had to cut you off for a hot minute.
The answer. I'm not finished with the answer.
Oh my
Can I just finish with the answer that she gave her?
What's
Let me
the answer?
finish with the answer. Okay, let me finish with the answer. First of all, and she said that but she, in her opinion, she thinks he just has cold feet and they should go for couple counseling. I thought to myself, come on.
No, I disagree with you. I disagree
You're kidding
with you 100%.
Don't
no,
you know?
No, because you don't. Here's the thing. You have to understand a lot of these, conversations about these opinion pieces, they're very one-sided, and the people have to give advice by figuring out what these people mean through the hidden messages. And a lot of times, dating for 2 years, who knows? Maybe the guy was divorced previously. Maybe she was divorced previously. Maybe they have a kid. Maybe they don't have a kid. Maybe there's something else other involved that might stoke the situation where he doesn't want to go ahead and commit. And I think couples counseling would probably help enlighten that environment. And I think that would be a good move. I mean, what would you suggest for someone like that? What to say? Well, I don't care. It is up to me. I do what I want. You don't own me, whatever. And then put more pressure on the situation, create a horrible situation where you're winding up going ahead and doing ultimatums, which is very unhealthy and very toxic, So you have to kind of ease the situation in.
Yeah, but what concerns me, first of all, is that anybody who's overly critical like this guy, this is a red. That's what she said. She said this guy is very critical. He's always criticizing her. He's always, listen, in anybody, and I've heard this from a number of psychologists who said this. If you're dating someone who, even in the dating stages, is overly critical, that is a red flag for a future domestic abuser. That's how they start.
Oh my God.
It is. That's how they start. They start by being overly critical.
It starts off with one thing, and then it's the Holocaust, and the world's ending, and it's just terrible.
No, but anybody who's overly critical, and like you said, also cheap, doesn't like to spend money on her, this is a red flag. I think the rabbi that put them together, if I were this girl, 2 years dating this guy, and he keeps beating around the bush about marriage. First off, the bottom line is he doesn't want to marry her. And I think this does not sound like a good relationship. This guy sounds like a future domestic abuser. And I think she should drop him.
You're right, Ema. You're 100% right.
Whoever is going to marry her, whoever wants to marry her, will want to marry her for who she is. And will appreciate her for who she is.
Exactly.
And not criticize.
Exactly.
I mean, if you're in the dating stage, come on, if you're in the dating stage and you're already starting with stuff like this, something's wrong. This is not going to end well. The dating stage shouldn't be going like this. This is something that, okay, it wouldn't be good if they were married for 20 years and this were happening. That wouldn't be good either. But, you couldn't understand how the pressures of marriage probably, weighed down the relationship. What
do you mean by that? What do you mean by the pressures of a marriage? What do you mean the pressures of a marriage?
Making a living, providing for a family, working long hours, basically providing for the needs of that family.
Wouldn't they be adults anyways that would be working long hours and having those stresses anyways, especially for a long-term relationship like 2 years? Don't you think that maybe there would be something like that anyways, that there's a putting a pressure on the dating? Isn't that?
But the thing is, they don't look. It's one thing if you've got a family, a home and children and a family invested in a relationship and you have a lot to lose and you really need to try to make this thing work, you don't have to be stuck with this in the dating process. She shouldn't have these problems at this point.
So
I think
you're
she should
saying
shake this guy.
dating should
I think
have no
she should
problems
shake
at all
this guy
whatsoever.
and get away from that stupid rabbi who is working so hard to keep them together. And I think his ego is involved in it. This is his shidduch. I mean, how can you turn down such a good shidduch I put together? This does not sound good. And if she's listening to this podcast, I say, honey, run away from this guy you're dating and run away from this rabbi. And whoever wants to marry you will marry you for who you are. Appreciate you for who you are.
What were the red flags that you had when you were in a relationship? And would you consider yourself a red flag sometimes? Seriously. What were the red flags when you were in a relationship?
Do you think that's something I should really tell a child of mine?
A red flag. Nothing X-rated. Just basically like, I don't know. I didn't like I offered him to split the bill and he said, sure, or whatever. I don't know. I don't understand. Whatever. Red flags, terrible, whatever thing.
Okay. A red flag, quite honestly, I think is criticism. You know, if you're criticizing this person you're dating, you don't like this about them, you don't like that about them. You know what? Break off and date somebody else who is more to your liking. What are you trying to do? You're trying to take this person and change them into something that you want. If you can't appreciate this person for who they are, and you've got to find all these different things to criticize about them, you know, then both of you should break it off.
Okay, so why did you break up with like your boyfriends?
There were various reasons. Well, one of my closest boyfriend I had to break up with because
he wasn't Jewish.
I became a Balas Tshuva. Yeah, I became a Balas Tshuva. And you know, quite honest, when I think back to the relationship, there were certain red flags that I should have paid attention to, not by him. He was a pretty decent guy, but there were certain indicators that my Judaism really deep down inside meant more to me than I thought it did.
What do you mean?
Well, okay, what it is that especially when you're in college is like a subculture. And you have, you know, and so especially during college, if you're not raised religious, you're an unaffiliated, assimilated Jew. So you're concentrating on getting your career together. Religion and family is very, very secondary in your mind. In fact, you don't even think about it. You right now you're working on getting your career together. And so you don't even think about religion. But there were little things that happened. Like I remember when my grandfather passed away. And I was staying at home with my parents, you know, helping them sit Shiva, my father. And I was a little disappointed that my Goyish boyfriend didn't at least come and visit me to try to, you know, give his condolences. I think he purposely didn't do that. I think he felt uncomfortable knowing he would come in and they would be davening and doing Jewish things. Also, I remember the Munich massacre. When I heard about the Munich massacre, it did something to me. It jarred something in me that it shook me to the foundation, to the reality that, hey, I'm Jewish and and I'm involved in this. I can't separate myself from this whole tragedy. And I wanted to express my Judaism. I wanted to express my sorrow at this whole event. And I was trying to think of what to do. And I went to my drawer and I had a Jewish star in there that I hadn't put on in years. And I took out my Jewish star and I put on my Jewish star. And then I took a black band and I put a black band around my arm as a sign of mourning. And I went to school. And of course, you know, some Goyish friends of mine would say, "What, you know, why are you wearing that black band?" And I said, "I'm in mourning for the 13 Jewish athletes that were killed at Munich." And my Goyish boyfriend sees me from a distance and he waves and comes over and he walks over and then he stops and he looks and goes, "Oh, you're wearing your Jewish star." I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Why are you wearing the black band?" And I told him I'm in mourning for the 13 Jewish athletes that were killed at Munich. And he said, "Oh, okay." It was kind of like, I could feel that there was he wasn't comfortable.
Well, it's kind of rough dating somebody and being with someone who's not Jewish. Um, I mean, the problem is there are cultural, clashes and a lot of subtleties in Jewish culture and mannerisms that we might find normal or just our own identity, and because it doesn't fit into maybe some other type of culture, it rubs people the wrong way. It makes them feel uncomfortable because they feel like being too overbearing. But it's just it's very Judaism is very intense. It's like 3,000 years of intensity, and it's just if you're not prepared for it, you might be a little standoffish. You know?
Yeah, it is. People don't realize that is a different culture. And I think even Jews that pride themselves on being totally assimilated, yada yada. I think they don't want to admit to themselves that I think they have these periods of time in their life where they're kind of like, you know, starting to feel a little, how can I say, um, like they feel their Jewish identity kind of like jabbing at them. It's something that, try as hard as you can, that there are certain things that'll happen that you just can't ignore it.
Yeah. I mean, I get very frustrated when I see a lot of people like bashing parts of Judaism, just talking mad smack about it and things like that. It pisses me off because it's like, what are you doing? There's enough people that hate us. Like, why are you acting this way? Why are you acting so? I find it cruel and disgusting. Like I literally just seethingly hate it. But whatever. We're diverging from the point. Your main point you were trying to make was bad advice, good ideas and bad ideas. And I don't know. I've read a few articles about good idea, bad ideas for shidduchim and things like that. And I don't know. Most of at least the ones I get in Baltimore, I haven't had any terrible bad idea, bad advice. Articles.
Dating navigator.
Oh, the dating navigator and things like that. I haven't really had any.
I get a kick out of reading that one.
It's most of the time it's entertaining, but sometimes it's very boring because it's like lame answers that are like just canned and you just know what they're gonna say. Like it's just the logic is so like concise with one frame of mind and it doesn't really matter. Like you want something a little juicier, a little more crazier.
Well, there was one I remember where something very similar to what this girl's going through. There was a mother who wrote and who was very concerned about this young man her daughter is dating, and they seem to be pretty serious. But what concerns her is also the same thing, that he criticizes her constantly. He yells at her for every little thing, and she can see that her daughter's self-confidence and sense of self-worth is starting to unravel. And she sees this change in her daughter. And she, wishes her daughter would break it off with this guy, but she doesn't know how to approach her daughter about it. So everyone in the dating navigator, except for one person, agreed with the mother and said, yeah, that this is not good for your daughter. You need to get someone to talk to her to break it off with this guy. This is a toxic relationship. This is no good. What happened was there was a man, of course, everyone in the group was a woman, except for this one man. This one man who, believe it or not, was a social worker, said to her, well, maybe there's some validity in his criticism of you. I thought, yeah, it's guys like you that are the problem.
Yeah, I don't know. When it comes to when you're in a healthy relationship, you don't, at least in the beginning, or at least you just don't care to criticize. Like, what's the point? Like, and even if someone was in a toxic relationship, will anybody outside of the relationship really be able to tell them what's going on? Will they really be able to reach them? It's like watching a train wreck. You just have to sit back and just do nothing and let it just play out.
Well, I can get over like how sometimes you'll hear about shidduchim, you hear about people getting engaged, and it's like it's so funny. You'll think to yourself, okay, well, that's a train wreck, but hey, maybe
Good luck.
I guess they love each other. And then like 3, 4, 5 years later, yeah, they get divorced. Surprise, surprise.
Yep.
And it's like everyone saw it coming except for them.
Or they probably saw it coming too. They just didn't want to say anything. They were too scared to end the relationship, and then they wound up going ahead and playing it out till, eventually there's nothing else left, and it's just a train wreck.
The bravest woman I ever met was a young woman who called off the wedding 3 days before the wedding.
Wow!
In fact,
3 days before the wedding.
Yeah, her friends had even come in from out of town. She had some people that came in from Israel, from the families.
Wow!
And she just realized, she just finally saw in him what others did, and she realized, this was not good. This was toxic. This was, like an over-controlling, overly critical individual, and she realized it in time. So the way she handled it was so good. First of all, I saw her at work the day that she had called off. I walked over to her and I said, "Can I shake your hand?" I said, "Good for you. That took a lot of guts." And so she said, "Yeah." She says, "Thank you." She goes, "It would have been a lot worse had I gone ahead with the marriage." But she said what she did was she got all her friends and the people that came in from Israel together and everything. And she said, "Hey, you know what? Let's all celebrate. Let's go out." She said she took them all out to a nice restaurant.
Oh, jeez. And that's the story. Wow. All right. We are out of time. I love you, Emma.
Love you too, my sweetness.
Thank you.
And I wouldn't criticize a thing about you. To me, you are perfect.
I don't know. I have a snarky comment, but I can't think of anything right now.
Is it appropriate for
no? I was gonna do a self-deprecating humor thing of like, perfect, blah 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, too tired. Okay, I get it. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it.
You have a good Shabbos, my sweetness.
You have a good Shabbos too, Emma. I love you.
Love you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. Please like and share and find us on Facebook at Jewish Boy Calls His Mother Podcast. We are looking forward to hearing from you.